Welcome to the Mrs. Are Relevant Daily Draft Podcast brought to you by the Draft Professor. Joined by Dalton and Chris. Chris, how you doing this fine Monday night?
Good. We just dropped an interview today with Dom C over at Talking Jets, where we broke down the big trades, why Mendoza is basically maybe the guy the Jets really gonna draft, and well, we even talked about is Aaron Glenn the right guy or not? Well, some big discussions, but it's great to have him. And this week we might be bringing in another college football guy who represents Florida State. So looking forward to a lot of big things and glad to be on the show.
Cool. And Dalton, better weekend for college football or pro football for you?
Neither. It's the worst football season I've ever had as a fan, man. I mean, both teams are without Giants and Florida, both without a coach right now. I was at the Florida game this week. Saw our ass get beat in person, so that was fun. It's always fun. Twice this year I've got to do that. So, man, it's rough. It's rough right now, but I think the Giants at least has a bright future. I think the Giants do. So, I think I'm more happy with the Giants, man. Dable didn't know how to game manage at all.
So, do you think Dable was fired because he was putting Jackson Dart in danger? Or was Dable fired just because he was a bad coach? Did I lock up?
No, you didn't lock up. I think Dalton locked up.
Yeah.
I think Dable got fired because he ran. His team is so disorganized. I mean, he got Jackson Dart hurt. He rushed him in there despite management wanting him to sit. Too many collapses. He's feuded with previous quarterbacks. I mean, he's just not a good fit. Now we'll see who it is, because a lot of people I know want Brian Flores to be hired, but he still has a lawsuit against the Giants. So I don't know where they go. I mean, and Dalton could probably tell more, but there's they got to figure out: do they want an experienced head coach? Do they want another offensive coordinator guru? Like they got to get their house in order. This is a mess, and it's a shame because there is talent there.
I heard rumors that it might be, if Lane Kiffin leaves, it's going to be for the Giants and just have a college job, reunite with Jackson Dart.
So I'm really curious where Dable ends up, because I don't think Dable stays unemployed long. It is my opinion that Dable was fired more for putting Jackson Dart in danger. I don't think Dable was fired for being a bad coach. I've seen Dable's work as an offensive coordinator firsthand. I'm a huge Dable fan. Now, granted, Dable did get ran out of Buffalo, but part of it was he was doing Josh Allen quarterback runs, like in the 13-second game. I was not a fan of just running a quarterback sweep with the game on the line. Like, some of the play calling would make me, pull my hair out. But I'm curious if Dable is a college head coach or if he gets one of the NFL openings. So I'd be curious, but go ahead.
I hope he doesn't. He's not that. He can't coach game management, man. We have so many losses this year that we should not have lost. The Broncos game, everybody remembers that game, I think. They scored like 35 points in the fourth quarter. And this week, I mean, there's so many – he just doesn't know how to coach at the end of the game, man. He needs to be a good coordinator, though, I think. He needs to go back to coordinating. Or college, yeah. He could maybe be a college head coach, but I don't think he's got the NFL head coaching ability.
And I think one other thing that may be less known about Dable, my instinct is that he doesn't get along with everybody. Like, that's probably why Wink Martindale isn't the defensive coordinator in New York anymore, right?
Yeah.
It's because him and Dable probably didn't get along. There were rumors that Dable and McDermott didn't get along in Buffalo either. So
I'll throw a hot take out here. Dayball to Detroit, replaces Johnny Morton, and he rehabs his image, and he actually learns, like, okay, how a program is actually run. Like, because you can tell, like, Detroit wants an offensive coordinator who knows what he's doing. They don't trust Morton. Campbell's a guy, I think, who can get along with almost anybody. That just seems like a perfect marriage for all parties.
Yeah, and then Ryan Sparks in the chat. I was actually thinking Dable to the Titans as either head coach or offensive coordinator, because if Dable has Josh Allen, Jackson Dart, and Cam Ward on his resume as an offensive coordinator, that would be impressive. We are here to break down some defensive linemen, so we could BS on the comings and goings of NFL coaches. Stay tuned for Black Monday. We have a very big Draft Professor special coming on Black Monday later in January. But right now, we're going to talk about Renee Conga from Louisville, Bear Alexander from Oregon, DeMonte Capehart from Clemson, Daryl Jackson from FSU, Cley Lubin from Louisville. Ryan, I know that's who you're here for. Cley Lubin. Danny Dennis Sutton from Penn State, Joshua Josephs from Tennessee, and David Bailey from Texas Tech. So the first player we're going to cover is Renee Conga from Louisville. He was not on any of the summer scouting podcasts, so, didn't really pop up on any defensive line, big boards, or anything like that. But he's getting some draft buzz right about now. Chris, is the draft buzz for Renee Conga warranted?
Yes and no. I mean, yes, it is, because he's playing well, and defensive tackle is just it is like a wasteland. We're looking at guys like, okay, this guy's injured, this guy's not good, this guy's not performing. So look, Conga has a place. And look, you look at him, and he's a remarkable story because he's not, he's not an American defensive tackle. He's from Canada, came over here. He's done pretty well so far. I mean, he's helped Louisville become one of the favorites to win the ACC. He has surprising quickness off a snap. He's able to penetrate through gaps. He has good closing speed. He's able to manhandle centers and you can use him along. He's 6'3", 305, so you can use him as a bigger edge, as a defensive tackle lines up against a center. He's still raw, though. I mean, there's still a lot where it's like he struggles against double teams. He has problems against the bigger offensive guards. He has his pass rush moves are a bit limited. It's just, you can tell he is one of those guys where he didn't, football was not the premier sport. I don't even know how good he played, in high school, because there's not many, good Canadian football teams out there. So, look, he's probably worth taking a flyer, probably around 6th or 7th round, because he's productive, he's quick. Defensive line coach will like that he can line up in different positions, but he's a rotational piece right now, and a guy that is just does a lot of good things, doesn't do any great things.
Dalton, what do you think of Renee Conga from Louisville?
I think he's solid. He does nothing to stick out, but he's pretty raw, like you said. Playing Canadian football. Played at Rutgers for a little bit, transferred to Louisville. I like his frame, though. I think he could add more weight if he needs to, and then play inside exclusively. Maybe get to 320. I think he has the frame for that, and he can play multiple roles right now. He can play end or tackle. I like that. I think his quickness is pretty good for his size, and his explosion. He's pretty explosive off the snap. He needs to add more pass rush moves. I think he has upside in the pass rush because of his quickness. But his anchor against a double team and against the run is two gap, and he's struggling at that. He needs to add weight and muscle, really, not weight necessarily, just muscle and his lower body to play better against the run. I think he's a rotational guy right now. I got a round 5 grade on him. It's just not good enough against the run, strong enough to move up the board right now.
Hey, the NFL definitely likes pass rushing interior defensive linemen. So sounds like I'm glad that we covered him. This is the first podcast that we've done that's covered Conga, but I appreciate you guys diving in and giving that assessment. So the next player we're going to cover probably a little bit more controversial. Bear Alexander from Oregon. I believe at some point somebody said he's played like for 7 teams in the last 7 years. But Dalton, what do you have on Bear Alexander from Oregon?
He's played for 3 teams, so I mean, not that crazy nowadays. He played for Georgia, USC, and Oregon. Man, this guy was a big recruit. Expected a lot out of him going into Georgia, and he just never really produced there. Went to USC, also had high hopes. Had a sack and a half there in 2 years, so didn't really play last year at all for them. He's explosive first step off the snap. He can penetrate and disrupt, but his motor is just runs hot and cold, man. It's like sometimes he's trying, sometimes he's not. He does have power upper body, though. He's stack and shed against the run. He has good hands. He can disengage from blockers. Does have a high football IQ. You see screens and misdirections well. The only thing is he lacks leverage against taller linemen. They can get to his chest, and when they do, he has a very hard time disengaging. Bull rush, power moves. That's really his only pass rush moves. And at 302, you would expect maybe some spin or something if you're inside. Plays too high. Agility's average for his size, and he's not really strong enough to anchor against double teams. So I'm not really high on Bear. I got a 7th round, maybe even undrafted for him. He just doesn't make enough plays.
Chris, where are you on Bear Alexander right now?
Yeah, you look and it's frustrating because there's talent. You see it. I mean, when he's popping, you see like a quick good first step. You see, that he is powerful upper body. We've seen him throw people around. Oregon's used him at edge. They've used him at right inside. He starts off and he has a high motor, relentless pursuit. He's making plays downfield. He's played in the SEC. He's played in the Pac-12. He has all that. He's not tall. He's short at 6'2", probably about 6'1". So, but he has that. He does so many things that you're looking, going, why aren't you better? Like, why is it that you aren't more developed at this stage? Like, as Dalton talked about, the pad levels. He talked about having trouble with conditioning. I would say is a big part. Sometimes you can tell it's like, okay, you're just not in shape. He needs to develop a more consistent anchor. It's all this. It's the small things that all just lead up. And right now, look, maybe he has another year of eligibility. Which if he does, he should go back to school.
Junior.
Yeah, so he should go back to school because right now I don't even think he'll get drafted. There's just too much. It's like, well, you start nitpicking here, nitpicking there. Next thing you know, you're like, yeah, if he's below average, even though he should be better. He flashes it. It's not consistent enough.
I mean, I think his best year, like rushing the passer, was his freshman year. Man, he saw a lot of upside his freshman year at Georgia. I was expecting big things. I think a lot of people were. But he just hasn't got better since then, He only has 2 sacks since his freshman year. So his freshman year was his best year. He just hasn't developed like a lot of people thought.
Okay. And then when I was doing the 7 schools in 7 years, that included high school. He changed high school a lot too.
Every year, I guess. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So good info there on Bear Alexander. So here's another one that I know we covered him last year. He returned to school. DeMonte Capehart. And then this year, he doesn't even start every game. He platoons, but yet there's some pretty good film out there on him. Chris, where are you in DeMonte Capehart right now?
Undrafted. I look at this. It floors me because again, you see it on tape. He overwhelming power at the point of attack. He has exceptional, two gapping ability. He can stonewall double teams. When like last year, he was doing everything, collapsing the pocket with a bull rush. He was able to just toss linemen to the ground. He was playing with good leverage. And you're thinking, okay, hey, this might be the year. And this year, it's been like, again, there's times where, he's playing too tall. He struggles with leverage. You're wondering if he's trying. There's wondering if he's in shape. He's just getting sometimes pushed around. I mean, again, this Clemson. I've said before, Clemson, LSU, and Florida State should be studied, including Penn State. How 4 teams we thought were going to be like powerhouses just have underwhelmed to this point. And Capehart's one of those. People are talking about him being like, hey, maybe sneak into the 30th round. And right now he looks the part. He's 6'5", 315, but I don't know how you draft him. He's just playing bad.
So, Dalton, where are you on the draft stock for DeMonte Capehart from Clemson right now?
Well, definitely down from last year for sure. I mean, he probably would have went 3rd round last year. I think right now, still got him drafted, but just barely. Maybe round 6. Not because he deserves round 6, probably just because this D tackle class is the worst we've seen in a while. It's not very deep. Some teams I think are going to reach for some guys that we don't even talk about. But he looked good last year. Like you said, he has good film, good power at point of attack. He can displace linemen with his initial punch when he locks in. Good two-gap ability to anchor against the run. He's a good athlete for his size, too. He can move. He has good pad level. He has occasional bursts as a pass rusher up the field. Occasional, though, not consistent enough. Decent leverage. He gets under linemen at times. When he's locked in and he's playing his best, he tosses linemen to the ground. And he has a really powerful bull rush that can collapse the pocket. But we haven't seen that enough this year. That was more last year. And you need to put 2 good years together for the NFL for most teams to really look at you. And he really struggles to hold his point of ground against double teams. And I just don't think he has much pass rush upside either. So he's definitely a late-round guy. And, man, this whole Clemson team, their draft stocks fell this year, it seeming like. I don't think anybody's stock has gone up on that team.
We covered Klubnik earlier today, too. So Clemson may not be getting the love from Draft Professor on Monday right now.
Where did they have him at?
So Klubnik, let's see. I think one person had him as QB4. One had him as, let's say, QB 8 or 9, but there were several in front of him that are likely going to return to school. Nearly everybody had Klubnik as a round 3-4.
Yeah.
I think there was one person that said lower, like they're at like round 5. But ultimately they said they have him at round 5, even though they know he's going to be drafted a lot higher. I think is the right way to put it, right?
Right. Yeah.
I would say the only guy from Clemson who hasn't lost money this year is Peter Woods, just because that position is so dearth of talent that he'll still go in the 1st round. Everybody else, you're going like TJ Parker, Klubnik, Antonio Williams. You're going, what the hell happened? You've lost millions by playing this bad.
Yep.
Yeah. It sucks. Their whole team. I mean, same with Penn State too. But
and we've got we have a Penn State player that's coming up here in a minute. Daryl Jackson Jr. from Florida State. I'm really curious where you guys are. 6'5", 337, Dalton. What do you think of Daryl Jackson Jr.?
Yeah, man, I like Daryl Jackson. Really good year last year. Even though Florida State struggled, didn't have to come back. Decided to come back and give the team another shot. Great leadership. Great size, 337. 8 career sacks for that size. That's pretty good. Only one this year, but obviously, he can eat up space, command double teams. Natural leverage being 6'5", 337 with long arms. Surprising short area quickness for his size, though. He could really move along the line against the run pretty fast, and he can shoot gaps and stunts really quickly. Even though you didn't think he could, man, he can fit in small gaps that like most people his size can't get in. Really impressive power when he extends his arms to create separation against the run. He can control the lineman. He can push the pocket back consistently against the pass. When he's dialed in, man, he can just manhandle, dominate an offensive front, depending on how good the lineman is. But if it's a guy worse than him and he's dialed in, he's going to prove that he's better than them. His motor's hot and cold, so he has conditioning questions, but he's 337. Most people that size have conditioning questions in college. He could get better at being a tackler. He's a little sloppy. He likes to lunge, doesn't wrap up great. And if he did, nobody's getting away from him. If our O-line gets to his frame before he gets to them, which isn't often, but if it does happen, he does struggle to disengage. And special Arsenal just has a bull rush and occasional swim move, but you don't expect much from the size. He probably won't add much from that. But I think I like him late second round. I got him D-tackle 7 right now.
Yeah. Okay. And you should talk with Jack Brentnell. Jack is a little bit higher than you. But, Chris, where are you and Darrell Jackson Jr. right now?
I want to love him more. I mean, look, Dalton gave the perfect explanation. I mean, look, he is the NFL size defensive tackle, 6'5", 335. Last year he was a lot more consistent with his passing. He had 30 pressures. He plays the mean streak. He likes to just destroy people. He was a leader last year when that team was falling apart. All that stuff he talked about, the gaps, the quickness, it's there. It's just, it's been like this for this year. There's been games he looks hot in the beginning, then all of a sudden it's like, where's Waldo? Where did he go? The tackling technique is sloppy. He lunges a lot of ball carriers. He gets tied up sometimes when the offensive line get into his frame first. Plays very high. The pass rush is limited. It's still just bull rushes, and he's been in college now for 5 years, so he'll get drafted probably around 4 or 5. I mean, because some team will go, we can fix him. There's talent. We got to figure it out. But again, it's just like this season alone. I mean, his only sack came against, East. Yeah, looky here. It was East Texas A&M, and then there's been games like Miami didn't do anything. Clemson really didn't do anything, and you're just sitting there like, where does this guy go? What is wrong? So, again, you're drafting him on potential, and he's a flyer, but I can't see second round. That's just – he just hasn't done enough. He hasn't shown he can be a consistent player from the first quarter to the fourth quarter.
So this is where – this is the part of the draft process that I find fun. So generally speaking – if I were to listen to Dalton and listen to Chris, for the most part, I heard the same scouting report. The only thing that really changed is how you value what you saw, right? And for anybody that's interested, right? So Keystone Cowboy, Ryan Sparks, like in the chat, if you go to the YouTube channel and go to the defensive line playlist, the podcast immediately before this one was the one that we did yesterday morning, because today's Monday. So you can listen to Jack Brentnall, you can listen to Brian Maffey, and you can listen to Drew Collins. All three of them had pretty much the same reports the two of you did. The only difference is Dalton and Jack said, I want it in round 2 because there's a ceiling that hasn't been tapped. Right? That, like Dalton, I heard your explanation. I'm like, yeah, that's the same thing that Jack said. Jack has Darrell Jackson Jr. top 50. So it's a top 50 player. That's how I said slightly higher than you, but you're essentially saying the same thing. But in addition to that, think of how many defensive tackles will be drafted between Peter Woods and round 2. There aren't many. Right? So this could be a top – Darrell Jackson Jr. could be a top 5 defensive tackle, right? And it's my opinion is that's a premium position, because if you don't have one, if you don't have the right defensive tackles in your room, you're probably – and then Chris, I think you even said you're going to have to reach to go get it.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I get what Dalton's talking. I mean, in the perfect world, for Dalton gets his dream wish. Jackson lands with Jamar Cain of Denver, who is just developing these defensive linemen like they're hotcakes. And next thing you know, we're talking Darrell Jackson Jr., Pro Bowler 2027. It's just he's going to be one of those guys you need the right defensive line coach to get through to him and go, okay, we need to develop you. We need you to play better. We need you to lose some weight.
So I believe that finishes the defensive tackles. We're now going into the edge class. And the man of the hour for Ryan Sparks is Cley Lubin. So Ryan is tuning into the podcast just to hear us talk about Cley Lubin because this is one of Ryan's guys. Chris, what did you see from Cley Lubin?
I thought it was going to be more wowed. I mean, I see the pass rush moves in terms of, he's explosive. He gets off, right away. He is aggressive. He goes after guys no matter what. He appears to have a pretty good step. It's just the more and more I watch, the more and more I'm like, he needs to go back to school. He needs to more refinement. He needs to learn how to mix the pass rush moves. Like he has one plan, and after that, it's like, okay, I'm just going to keep it that one plan. And that's a lot of guys. And my biggest worry is the size. To me, he's listed as 6'3", 250. And I'm just worried he might not have, unlike David Bailey, he's not this freak athlete where he can, he's small, but he is so fast that you can get away with it. So, look, I think hopefully he'll return because right now I have maybe a 5th or 6th just because teams are going to go, is he a linebacker? Is he an edge? We're not sure. Maybe we can use him in pass rush spots, but he needs more work, and he needs to prove he can do it in the ACC because all of his sacks are coming on for conference games.
Okay, so Dalton, what do you have on Cley Lubin? It almost looks like Chris is locked up.
Oh, that was the first thing I was going to say, though, is his production. He has 4 sacks this year. 3.5 of them came the first 2 weeks against Eastern Kentucky and James Madison. So he has half a sack in the last 7 games against the ACC slate. And he had 9.5 sacks last year, but that was at Coastal Carolina. Also against, bad teams, not NFL caliber tackles. So when he's playing the good teams, he's not really producing. That's the only problem I have with him. He has some weapon. I mean, he has some upside. He has excellent speed. He's pretty strong for his size. Quick feet. More stronger hands than you would think he would have. But he can bend the edge, flexible around there. But like I said, he hasn't produced against high end talent, and that's big for me. So I got a 5th round grade on him right now. If he could do something in these last few weeks, maybe he can up his stock a little bit. But all his sacks have been against inferior competition his whole career. So it's basically like you're drafting a group of 5 DN.
Yep. And Chris, you locked up there. We didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I didn't lock up. that was it. I just trailed off.
Okay.
I want to level more. Again, no sacks against ACC competition really, except for he had a half a sack, I think, versus Virginia. It's like, if you're an NFL team, how do you know? Okay, if he can't produce in the ACC, how the hell is he going to produce in the NFL?
Yep.
Yeah, that's the only thing I was worried about too. I mean, I liked him earlier in the year, but that's non-conference. He was balling out against the bad teams on the schedule and made himself look really good. But then we had eyes on him after that. People have been watching him, and he just hasn't been producing. He did have 9 tackles this week, so he played well against the run this week. I'll give him that, but he just hasn't had as much sacks as I expected.
And I don't want to stereotype the player, but we have a few players like this in the draft, right? Where we have edges that are highly athletic, may not be able to hold up against the run. We have a lot of players that we're sorting through that probably fit a similar description without it, not the same production discussion, but just the same play style where they're a maybe more athletic edge, but may not be able to hold up against the run. Because Lubin is not the only edge that we've covered that had a similar discussion, I think is the right way to put it. Next player, Danny Dennis Sutton from Penn State. Dalton, what did you have on the Penn State edge?
So this is a guy from Penn State I still like. I haven't really fell off much from him this year. 19 career sacks, only 3 this year. But when he gets the sacks, and he usually gets the ball out. 7 career forced fumbles, 3 of them this year. Strip sacks are huge in the next level. NFL teams love turnovers, man. The great size, frame. He's ready for the NFL day one. Violent hands at the point of attack. He stack and shed against the run. Powerful bull rush. You can walk linemen backwards. He has a good closing burst to get to the quarterback and finish sacks instead of just getting there. A lot of guys can get to the backfield. Saw the Giants game all day. He had 12 pressures that game, and Caleb Williams didn't get sacked once. So being able to close sacks is a big deal. Pressures aren't the end of the world. He can set the edge against the run as well as extra passer. He keeps contained really well, forces runners inside. Really high motor, backside pursuit tackles. Flexibility, can line up from the 2 or 3 point stance. The only problem is his first step's a little slow. Pass rush is relies too much on power, I'd say. So if that's stymied, he doesn't have enough counters right now. And his pad level occasionally rises when he's locked up with the blocker. And he's a little stiff bent in the corner sometimes. But overall, I like his upside, and I like that he can play the rush and the run and pass equally. I got a second-round grade on him right now.
Oh, nice. Chris, are you as high on Danny Dennis Sutton as Dalton?
No, and I want to, because last year this is TJ Parker 2.0, where last year you're like, oh my God, this guy's gonna be a first rounder. I mean, you saw him with Abdul Carter, and they were causing chaos. I still remember, that game where Notre Dame, he's a beast. 4 solo tackles, 2 sacks, 1 forced fumble. I mean, it was him and Abdul. Him and Abdul were just giving Notre Dame fits, even though Notre Dame won. And you're looking, going, man, it's going to do it again this year. And it's been just, what the hell happened? I mean, part of it is he hasn't developed. It's like, and it's a lot of these guys. First move, and plan A is we're going to use a powerful bull rush. We're going to walk these tackles back into the quarterback's lap, and we're going to get them. Then there's no plan B. And when they don't have plan B, it's like, well, crap. He gets, the pad levels, he gets engaged a blocker sometimes and tied up. He's a predictable pass rusher. They know what he's going to do. I mean, look, the traits are there. You wish the motor was better. You wish he was better against the run, but he looks the part. It's just like, the big question for scouts is this just a down year because everything in Penn State is down, or is he a guy who benefited from having maybe one of the best premier college pass rushers in Abdul Carter next to him? So I'm dropping him to around 4 or 5. It's there. It's just this year is giving me pause. Like, his only sack came against Indiana, who had a backup tackle. Everything else, like Oregon, UCLA, Iowa, Ohio State, he did nothing. He was just, once again, where's Waldo?
Yeah. So, Dalton, do you see this comment from Ryan Sparks here?
Yeah, he has one more. Sutton has 3 sacks, and Lubin has 4, so it's only one more sack. And Dennis Sutton had 8.5 last year, man, playing the Big Ten. And Lubin has half a sack against good competition. So,
and then how do you weigh in playing with Abdul Carter versus playing without Abdul Carter? For by the way, the nickname for Danny Dennis Sutton is DDS, so he's also a dentist. But for DDS, like, how do you equate to you're not playing with Abdul Carter anymore? How does that affect the evaluation?
I mean, yeah, he gets double teamed more this year. It's harder for him to produce pressure. Of course, it's always better to have a good guy opposite you, but that's it. You can say that about any pass rusher on any team, really, except the real dominant guys like Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, But I'm not putting him at that level. So,
Chris, how about you from the standpoint of like comparing Lubin to DDS? Or because your grade or your overall grade on them is relatively similar, right?
Yeah, I'm more bullish on Sutton because, he did it last year. So, and this year, Penn State, everything just fell off the wagon. So if I'm a scout, I'm going, well, maybe it was just the coach got fired. the chaos, the quarterback, basically just literally maybe, pulled a disappearing act. We have no idea. And you can go, well, last year everything was normal, so this year we can write it off as it was chaos. He's bigger than Lubin. He's stronger than Lubin. There's traits there. It's just, again, this year, just like a lot of Clemson kids, if you're a scout or a GM, you're going to sit down with these kids and go, what the hell happened? Why did you play so poorly? And you're going to want, like, a good answer. Like, all right, was there something personal? Was it a coaching scheme? Was it just injuries? You want to find out before you invest like a first round or second round pick with these kids.
Yeah. So Dalton's grade on DDS, Dalton, you were, I believe, this is the second time that we've covered him, right? Second podcast. I believe you are the highest that I've heard with because you said you have a round 2 grade. Yep. So the way that I would look at it is with Danny Dennis Sutton at 6'5", 265. That's a prototypical size. He might be, some teams might want him to put on like 5 pounds because they may want their edges to be 270. But generally speaking, I would say that Danny Dennis Sutton is closer to the prototypical size. Like Cley Lubin would be off of Buffalo's board entirely. Buffalo doesn't want a 250-pound edge.
Right.
But now you flip that and you go to a team like Philadelphia. So you go to like a Fangio defense. And for a Fangio defense, they generally will want 3 down linemen that are bigger, but then they can have their edge rushers be significantly lighter, right? But they also have to have some ability to drop into coverage. Like if you're putting Lubin in like a Fangio type defense. So I don't know that every team would have Lubin on their board. I think nearly every team would have Danny Dennis Sutton on their board. I think that's also one of the big differences between where the two players get drafted. I think Lubin is very scheme specific. Either you guys
a lot
have
of guys in this class are though. That's why I think. I mean, Dennis Sutton. That's why I think his stock's higher. Just because there's not many guys 6'5", 265 in this class. A lot of tweeners, a lot of guys 250, 245.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. Yeah. Completely agree, Dalton.
I'll say this: DDS screams Steve Spagnuolo. This is a guy that Spags is going to go, I love this kid. He's big. I can put on a couple extra pounds. He's just a bull rush, aggressive kid. I will take this. That's what Spags wants. And there's going to be other defensive coordinators over, like the Eagles, who are like, we want speed. So, but yeah, with Sutton, it's basically just, are you betting on last year or are you betting on this year?
Next player. So again, another undersized edge. Joshua Josephs from Tennessee. 6'3", 240. And I think the first time that we covered Josephs, we were even debating if he's 240. But Chris, where are you on Joshua Josephs of Tennessee right now?
Yeah, he's one of those guys where you see the traits, you see the speed and everything, and it's just like, man, this looks good. I mean, I go back to that game against Georgia, and man, he was a beast. He had 4 tackles. He had 2 sacks. 4 tackles, 1 sack, 1 forced fumble. I mean, he was one of those guys who was giving Gunnar Stockton fits. And he plays the part. He's disciplined against the run. He converts speed to power pretty good. He has a pretty good variety of pass rush moves. It's just plays too high. He's an athlete who's playing football. Like we talk about, some of these guys can recognize when plays are developing quickly and they can just hit it. For him, it's sometimes like it takes a minute. I have it probably around 3-4. Depends on if he can play linebacker. If he goes to the All-Star games and they go, hey, why don't you play outside linebacker? And he does it. Teams will love him a lot more because he has an 82-inch wingspan, which is just freakishly abnormal for a guy his size. So there's the bend, there's the flexibility, there's the athleticism. It's just he is a smaller guy. and the production isn't there. So, yeah, it's right now, to me, it's around 4 or 5, but could go much higher if he can play linebacker.
How about you, Dalton?
Yeah, his 82-inch wingspan, like you said, man, it helps create immediate leverage, and it makes him play bigger than his size a little bit. Really good first step quickness, switch lineman in recovery mode. A lot of times as soon as the snap. Really good discipline against the run, sets the edge, and he can maintain gap integrity, even if he's only 240, and that might be giving him some pounds. Does have natural bend, flexibility, turn the corner. Rarely bites on mixed directions and screenplays. Converts speed to power. Can send tackles backwards, and even the SEC, so that's impressive. He does have a lot of pass rushing moves. He has a really good cross chop move, and he also has a good inside counter when his first move stopped. So he just needs to add mass to his lower body, needs better hand usage. He has a lot of high pressure rate, but he doesn't finish a lot. He only has 4 sacks this year. It's just decent production, but he's been back there way more than that. So he plays too high at times. I got a round 3 grade on him right now. Just 'cause I think some teams are going to fall in love with him, man. After the combine, he's going to put up crazy numbers, I think, at the combine, athletic-wise, and shoot up the board.
So it's interesting, Chris, because I think I don't remember which edge group covered him, right? The Sunday group or the Wednesday group. But I mentioned the same thing that you did about can he play linebacker? Because if he can play linebacker on early downs and then rush the passer on third downs, he may have a better draft stock. I think his draft stock might be higher.
Yeah.
Because now you're finding a 3-down path for him to play. But Joshua Joseph's holding up against the run is really going to determine, can he crack like the top 64, in my opinion? Right? Because if he can prove that he can stop the run and he can hold up against NFL offensive tackles, that's really going to determine whether he goes round 3 or at the very beginning of day 3, in my opinion. But
look, there's ability, and we all see it. Like, there's so much talent, this kid, that you're going, damn, if only he could put it together. If he was the guy that you looked and went, like, if he could do what David Bailey is doing, you'd be going, he's top 5 pick overall, because he has all the traits. It's just there's things missing, small little things which ding him to me to a 4th or 5th, because of the size, and he might be even lighter than 245. Like, he looks around 235. There's going to be teams like the Chiefs, like the Chargers, Vrabel and the Patriots who are going to look and go, we can't have you. You're doing well right now, but what happens when you get a 6'7", 350-pound offensive tackle like against Alabama and you're getting run over? Like, if you can play linebacker, it's going to be a whole different story. But it's the small little things that are just like, okay, there's not enough pass production, sack pressure production for what he is.
I think in the right scheme, though, he could be a steal, like Nick Bonito. Nick Bonito, 6'3", 240, and he's one of the best pass rushers in the league.
Yes, completely agreed. Completely agreed, right? Because, like, this would be a Fangio edge. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, completely agreed. So find a team that plays an odd front, and essentially Joseph's is a pass rushing outside linebacker. Absolutely, completely agree.
Yeah, nobody thought Bonito was going to be that good. I think he went 3rd round too, maybe 2nd.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's also Jamar Cain, who's been. I mean, between him, between Allen, between all these guys that Denver has gotten, this guy Cain he develops. So he figures out, okay, what can you do right? What can you not do right? I will figure it out. I'll work around it. And for a guy like Joseph, that's what he's going to need. A defensive line coach is going to look at you and go, all right. You are a square peg, and I'm going to put you into the square hole, not put you into a round hole.
Last player, David Bailey from Texas Tech. Chris, what do you think of David Bailey?
I have him defensive end, edge 1. I will pound the table. I will get into fisticuff fights with people. I would take him over Reuben Bain Jr. You look at this guy. He is just a freak athlete. He is, yeah, he's 6'3", 250, but he ran basically at having a 22.1 mile per hour speed when he was running during the 20-yard dash. He is explosive first step where it's on elite. Like he basically takes one step and he blows by people. Exceptional bend and ankle flexibility, gets around the edge quickly. He is just like an attack dog basically against quarterbacks. I'll put it this way here. This is the best way I can explain it to people. He took Utah's Spencer Fondu and Caleb Loma, who are both considered first-round tackles, and made them look like they were playing on ice skates. False starts. He got one sack, but every play they are just on their heels. They don't know what to do. Yes, he is a one-trick pony. It's basically that first step and bend, but it's so devastating though that it gets it. And I get it. He's not, the ideal bulk and length for an edge. I just look at this guy and it's like, okay, this is Micah Parsons. This is the guy that you look and go, yes, you are not the 6'5", 265. You're just though this devastating defensive edge who I will take you number one overall because any defense coordinator knows how to use a guy like this is going to go, ooh, we're going to have fun. I'm going to sick you on every damn quarterback and watch you just give them anxiety attacks.
So, Dalton, where are you and David Bailey?
Top three edges for me are really close. I got him number 3 behind Bain and Falk, but that's just because I'm a size guy. I like to size my DNs a little bit. But man, if you want production, this guy's got it. 27 career sacks, 12 this year. Elite first step quickness. The freak athlete, bench 405 pounds, squatted for 550 this offseason. Rare speed for his size. Great bend, flexibility around the corner. He's not asked to drop in coverage often because of how good of a pass rusher he is, but when he does, he looks natural at it. Violent hands, he's engaged with the blockers. Really good swipe, good rip club move against taller linemen. Really good motor, great pursuit. I think he can play 4-3 end or 3-4 outside linebacker. Really good tackler, wraps up good. Doesn't rely on arm tackles much at all. He might not be big enough to set the edge in the NFL. Obviously, that's a big question. A lot of guys this year. Gets washed out, struggles to get back in the position when he's knocked out of it against the run a lot. Pass rush, he primarily wins right now with first step and bend. So I think he could use a little bit more moves. He just doesn't have to use them in college right now because of how fast he is. Zone replays, he often is caught no man's land. He doesn't pick the running back or the quarterback, so they both have the lanes open. And he does allow cutback lanes and run too. But yeah, I definitely got a first-round grade on him, man. He's going to make some team really happy. Just a double-digit sack guy, I think, perennially.
Yeah, so there was an interesting discussion on David Bailey in the Draft Professor chat over the weekend. So he has some off-field stuff that nobody is talking about. I believe he's stepped on a player. He's kicked a player. He may have been there's rumors he may have been kicked off of Stanford, right? Because he was at Stanford last year. He's at Texas Tech this year. So this is definitely a player whose film is grading him really high, and he's going to have to interview really well at the combine to keep that draft status, in my opinion, right? Because there's going to be some teams where he is going to be taken off their board completely, even with the first round grades that both of you just gave him, kind of thing. So he's definitely. Go ahead.
To piggyback off that. So I was thinking about that. Right now, Jalen Carter fell, and I get it. Jalen Carter's just like David Bailey. Pardon my language, is an asshole. But God damn it! I mean, right now, imagine if the Detroit Lions didn't pass on him, and you had Hutchinson and Jalen Carter. They're probably in the Super Bowl instead of the 49ers against the Chiefs. Imagine, if he. Yeah, imagine if he went to the Arizona Cardinals instead. They are totally different. That's just the thing. It's like I get it. Bailey's kind of an ass, and you're probably gonna have to look and go, "Yeah, God damn this guy! Please don't do anything stupid." But he's so damn good that it's unfortunately, as I said, right now the Raiders are probably sitting there going, "Wait a minute, we passed on Jalen Carter for Tyree Wilson. Oh my God! Now we know why people got fired." If you're a GM, that's what you got to worry about. If you pass on him and he develops, you will get fired because you know that this Bailey's in. As long as he doesn't do anything really stupid, wiser words have never been spoken. But he's going to be a star, and you can't pass that up in a league which you need like all pro players to win this game.
Yeah, and I'm looking at Twitter right now, and nobody is even tweeting about the off field. So all the off field stuff was put in the Draft Professor group chat. It's not on Twitter. Like I'm scrolling as you guys are talking. I don't see it. But there was literally a clip of him like stepping on a player, another clip of him kicking a player. And everybody's like, yeah, that's real. Like he's done that. This isn't the first time he's done that. So, Chris, like I get what you're saying, but it's also interesting, right? Because the way I look at it is this. If you're a first-year head coach, that may not be who you want your first pick to be as a first-time head coach, right? But to your point, Chris, if you're the Eagles and you have a locker room that can handle it, you're okay, right? If you're the Chiefs, your locker room can handle it, right? Because you've got the right coach. You've got veteran leaders on both sides of the ball. So I'm just going to say it as the draft season evolves, right? We still have 6 months before the draft. I think you're going to hear about this closer to the combine than you are right now as we sit here in November, a couple of weeks before Thanksgiving. Right? I don't think that's what people talk about now. Everybody just wants to talk about what their film grades are, kind of thing. But
yeah,
for sure.
Yep. So next week, we're going to cover 12 players. We're going to cover Cole Brevard from Texas, Keyshawn Silver from USC, Cassius Howell from Texas A&M, Malachi Lawrence from UCF, Santana Hopper from Tulane, Mateen Ibaragba from Wake Forest, Isaiah Smith from SMU, Grayson Halton from Oklahoma, Skylar Gill Howard from Texas Tech, Terry Webb from SMU, Lee Hunter, and Albert Regis from Texas A&M. So that'll be 12 players that we cover, and it's the second to last podcast for you guys to cover the defensive linemen. And then the final podcast, we'll have 12 more, and we will go from there. Want to also give a shout out to Keystone Cowboy and Ryan Sparks. Love the active chat. Chris, do you want to introduce yourself in case Ryan and Keystone don't know about you or your Last Call podcast?
Sure, you can check me out. It's lastcallpodcast.com. Also on YouTube and Rumble, which is the Last Call Podcast with Chris C or CC. I am on Twitter, which is Last Call WChrisC, LinkedIn and Facebook. And yeah, once again, if you check it out today, we dropped an interview with, once again, Dom C over, who also helps out here with on the Draft Professors with Talking Jets Show and also the Jets X Factor. We talked about Fernando Mendoza to the Jets. Is it possible? Could they even go with, dare I say, Lenora Sellers? We had a lot to talk about that. And once again, always a pleasure and honor to be on this show.
Well, we love having you. Thanks for being here. Dalton.
Yeah, I'm here with Home Squad Sports, one half with Daniel, who's on here Mondays at 7. We drop live podcasts every week, Monday and Wednesday. Going to the Western Kentucky, Miami of Ohio, Toledo game this Wednesday night. Should be a good one. Recruiting starting to pick up, so we're about to drop a lot of stuff on the quarterback class, stuff like that, diving into that now. So you can check us out on every social media.
Yeah, so if you are watching, check out Home Squad Sports for their college football content. You will also see a lot of Home Squad Sports with other draft professors. I think Daniel said you're doing some stuff with Will Thomas, who's another draft professor who does like a lot of SEC podcasting. Ironically, I think Will has also worked with Chris, right? Have you had Will Thomas on your show yet, Chris?
Yes, we have. We talked about LSU's next head coach. Who could it be? And some good stuff.
Yeah. So one of the great things about Draft Professor is there's a lot of other podcasters within Draft Professor, and then you start seeing Draft Professor showing up on other Draft Professors podcasts from where I sit. Having created this 12 months ago, that is like the coolest thing to see. So I absolutely love that. If you're watching, and you can go to NFL Draft Fanatic on YouTube and hit the subscribe, please and thank you. It's the best thank you can give if you like this content. We are here twice a day at 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern every weeknight. Saturday mornings at 10 a.m., Sunday mornings at 9 and 10:30 a.m. And every podcast right now is breaking down the draft class. So there are about 26 people, just like Chris and Dalton, who are diving deep to make sure we know who's in the draft class. The ask is to find the players that are being drafted in rounds 1 through 5. Right? So we're going to try to cover all those players on a podcast. And then once January rolls around and we have a better feel for what our boards are, we'll be able to tell you a little bit more about who the top 150 players in the draft are. So for Dalton, Chris, myself, for the 110 podcasters at the Draft Professor, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you on a podcast again tomorrow, where Randall is going to be covering wide receivers. Thank you.